Hi, I'm Sashwati Sarkar, and you're watching TOI Education. Welcome to the show. In today's episode, we explore one of the most consequential shifts in CBSE's curriculum rollout, the mother tongue first approach, which calls for foundational learning in the language a child speaks at home. At the core, the idea sounds noble. The policy draws from NEP 2020's belief that early education in home language builds stronger comprehension, cognitive growth, and emotional security. But here's the catch. In classrooms where over a dozen mother tongues collide, is this ideal even workable? Or are we forcing a policy that looks good on paper but breaks down in practice? So the question we're asking is mother tongue first a true leap forward in education equity, or is it a logistical and linguistic minefield? Let's break it down, challenge the assumptions, and see what's really happening on the ground with a panel that knows the system from the inside out. For this very crucial discussion, we have with us today Ms. Anuradha Sinha, Principal Manav Mandir Srimati NRP Set Multipurpose High School, Mumbai. With over 25 years of experience, she is the recipient of Gandhiji Peace Award, Skill India Global Principal Award. She has also been honored with the Innovative Leader of the Year Award by Sahodaya Mumbai CBSE in 2025-2026. Then we have Ms. Deepa Kapoor, an eminent educationist based in Hyderabad. With over 25 years of experience as an educator, thought leader, and head of school, she has been recognized with a special jury award at the annual Global Awards by the Center of Assessments for Excellence in the year 2023 and School Leaders Award 2024 from ELROC. We also have with us Ms. Kanchan Chaithli, Principal Rian International School, Noida, Uttar Pradesh. With more than 3 decades of experience, she is known for her exceptional ability to connect with people. Always worked at the forefront, leading with empathy, clarity, and purpose. Her educational qualification includes a bachelor's degree in the industrial chemistry, followed by master's in sociology and social work. Welcome to the show, all of you, and thanks a lot for giving us your time today. Let's start with the questions now. We'll come to you, Ms. Sinha, first. Ms. Sinha, your school is based in a multicultural city where students come from a mix of linguistic backgrounds, right? So, how feasible is the mother tongue first approach in such diverse, linguistically heterogeneous urban classrooms?
See, frankly speaking, it is the policy of government NEP 2020. It is indeed feasible, but it is very, very costly. Why? Because according to the language of the children, we have to segregate the batches. For example, grade 1, Kannada, grade 1, Telugu, grade 1, Malayalam, grade 1, Bengali, grade 1, Gujarati. So in this way means for grade 1 only we require so many classrooms because here we are going to cater the need of a child. And what is the need here? Mother tongue. So first is this problem which I think no management will allow in a school to do like this. And second is what the teachers. We have to hire teachers on the basis of the languages. But if we will do the planning in a proper way, suppose that we are going to start with one subject, two subject in a mother tongue, then in long term it is possible. But if government is saying or any state is saying no, we have to start suddenly with all the subjects, then according to me it is not feasible. It is beneficial, no doubt, because any child can express themselves in mother tongue better than other language. But it is, as I told you, it is a cost effective. And second thing, according to me, if suppose that one child who is studying throughout the year means at least till 10 in Malayali or the Gujarati or any other mother tongue. And if suddenly the child is going from south to north or vice versa, north to south, then according to me, survival is very, very difficult. Survival means here job opportunity. Because if any South Indian is going to North India or East to the West, then again there will be language problem because the child is studied himself or herself in what? The mother tongue. So according to me, We can, because if the government is has decided, then as an educationist we have to adopt it and we have to go through it, but it require long term planning, not in short span of time. If we are trying to do this, then as you said in the beginning, that it is going to break.
Thank you, Ms. Sinha, for your views. And you've raised very, very pertinent points. Uh, Now, we're coming to you, Ms. Kapoor. Uh, you know, NEP 2020 recommends instruction in the home language wherever possible. Yet, CBSE's circular appears to mandate it by 2025 to 2026. Do you think we are losing the spirit of pedagogical autonomy in the race for uniform compliance?
So it's not about pedagogical autonomy, Saraswati. I feel it has to do with something that we have to follow at the central level, you know. And especially when we're talking about education of the future generations. After all, through education, a major shift is brought about in the core culture of the country, you know. So, having said that, with the diversity of our country, it will prove to be a major challenge, no doubt. You know, it's not going to be an easy path at all. Uh, Even though the NEP says that, you know, you need to train your teachers and your educators to take the program forward, yet there are many challenges that I do foresee. And the government stand is not wrong at the same time, you know, because what we see now is that children are moving away from their mother tongue, and you see many children, especially in our urban cities, we see children moving away from their mother tongue, speaking only in English, wanting to listen to only English music. So to get that back, that is what the government is, you know, envisaging. But then, um, of course, there is going to be a great planning that is needed. It's not just about the implementation. How do you do the backward planning and this is a long-term plan we are talking about, just like what Ms. Sinha has just said, that it's not just about a year or two, you know, this is going to take some time. And for such a such a massive scale, when you want this program to be implemented, then first we need to be well planned for it, you know. Have we trained our teachers? Do we have the materials? Do we have the resources ready? So first let's have that in place and then possibly, you know, talk about doing it so immediate. It may not be possible to do it immediately, but having said that, as I said, you know, the government is not wrong in you know, because we need to start somewhere. Yeah. So like we have about 19,000 languages, we say, you know, and dialects that are spoken in India. And they are more than 220 languages that we have already lost in the past 50 years. So considering that, the government is not wrong. But how do we do it is the question. And it needs time. You know, that is the thing.
Right. So, but my question was, NEP didn't mandate it. CBSE is mandating it. Do you
Yeah.
think mandating it is good in terms of, or is it or is it an oversight?
So right now, yes, it does seem to be an oversight, you know. We just need to give it some time. That's what I said, you know. It cannot be done overnight. Like they said, just do it just the next year. Not possible. You need to give it some time. Good planning is needed, and then the implementation can come forward.
Right. Right. Thank you, Ms. Kapoor. Now we are moving to Ms. Chaitli. Ms. Chaitli, in CBSE schools across NCR, you often have children speaking multiple languages, starting from Maithili, Bhojpuri, Bengali, Urdu, and sometimes even Nepali or Santhali at home. How are schools like yours interpreting mother tongue first approach? Are they defaulting to Hindi or trying to individualize language instructions?
So the question is quite insightful in the context of the linguistic diverse regions that we have in NCR, because we have people coming from all parts of India to work here and their children studying here. But the thing is, like the panelists said, like Deepa Kapoor ma'am said and Radha ma'am said, that it cannot happen overnight. There are so many things that we need to look at. First, yes, I would say that we are all mainly coming from Hindi speaking belt. NCR region is UP and then Haryana. It is all a Hindi speaking belt. So they have the mother tongue Hindi. So preferably the schools will switch on to Hindi as the mother tongue. But then those children who are coming from the diverse backgrounds, they might feel a little lost since they might not be able to cope up with Hindi. And then, if we look at the perspective of the school, it is much easier to develop one kind of structured learning because learning material is required, then you require learning labs. So, everything that is required for that, you need to plan. Then, the input of the money and the finances has to go into there. So, Hindi will definitely be the default language that the schools will choose for, right? For the administrative ease and then making the question papers, checking, because all teachers will not be knowing the other languages like Bengali, Nepalese, or whatever language, right? So, in order to get the best output or to simplify it, we have to first train the teachers, we have to get the instructional material ready, then only we can switch on, right? And do I do think that the CBSE schools, especially like those in the NCR region, they will switch on to Hindi once it gets implemented. And yes, they can have the activities like what I would suggest that the school could do. We could just have some activities related to the other languages. For example, maybe some songs in Bengali because that is something that everybody would enjoy. Some storytelling in another language. That is something that some children would enjoy. So somewhere where language can be communicated both verbally and both non-verbally. Those activities can be chosen for the languages other than Hindi. And secondly, we have to see how parental support will also come into it because a child's education has two partners, parents and the school, right? So, how parental support will come because I'm sure the minute we introduce Hindi, there will be some parents who will object to Hindi being used as the first language, right? And then once we start having those small other languages, small labs or the small sessions for the other languages, then we will see how many parents are able to support. The thing with the English is that almost everybody is able to speak because for last so many years we've been depending on that language. But since we don't want our language to be mapped out, so first thing that the school needs to do is conduct a language mapping survey. That is, find out how many teachers are multilingual, how many parents can be multilingual, how can they all contribute, what is the language spoken at home, and how much resources can the community contribute to it, right? So all this will only fit into things when we actually start practically working. But yes, Hindi will be the most chosen language.
Thanks a lot for your views and insights, Ms. Chaitli. Now, we'll move on to Ms. Sinha again. Ms. Sinha, as we were talking about teacher training, which is a very crucial aspect of implementing the mother tongue first approach in schools, how, according to you, are teachers being trained or prepared to handle mother tongue instruction, especially when their own proficiency may be limited in a student's first language?
First, I would like to add on about the question number one only. Suppose that we are going to implement the mother tongue. So in that way means if as a teacher, I am going to prepare a question paper, examination department. So how many we will prepare question paper in how many languages? So my worry about that only. And as Deepa ma'am said, as well as Chaitali ma'am said, that it is important to preserve the languages. So why not we are including these means languages as a hobby languages instead of teaching as in a mother tongue. If we will introduce it as a hobby languages or the languages which are beneficial or the languages which are going to Venice. So we can promote in different way also, according to me. Instead of forcing for the mother tongue, teaching in each and every state, for example, as Madam said, NCR. So same problem we are also facing in Mumbai, because in Mumbai, the it is completely diverse culture. And in my school only, the kids are coming from different background of the different languages. So my worry is that only how it is possible in overnight, as both the panelists agree. But for this, we require a proper, what I can say, discussion among principals. Then only it is possible to find some pathway. Because right now it is from the CBSE, and CBSE, according to me, they are bureaucrats. They have, means, as both the panelists said, correct, that to preserve the languages as well as the kids are able to express themselves in their mother tongue. I agree with all these things. But why not the government is giving us chance, all the principals conduct one workshop, conferences about this only, how to implement. Okay, they are going to, they have already passed this bill or the GR, but how to implement for that, who require all the principals, all the means stakeholder related with this, as well as the parents, whether the parent want this or not, whether for a parent it is possible or not. So next is about the training program. As you aware, in the CBSE CBD program, uh, we are conducting, and it is compulsory that we have to give training to each and every teacher for 40 hours. And in this, they are giving training related with all these things, means one of the CBD related with this. And second is, according to me, if we are going to include the parent for the mother tongue or for the linguistic club kind of formation, and if we will take their support, then I think it will be very easy for us to learn more about the languages. Because as a person, as an adult, it is not possible at this age to understand or to learn all the languages together. So if we are going to involve the parent to in the teaching and learning process, as well as if they are able to give training, or not means official kind of training, means informal kind of training to our teacher, at least about a few things, how we they can express, as well as the resources are very important. And if the teacher are getting these resources, then only they will able to teach the kids in different languages. And in CBSE there is one Diksha portal. In this, all the e-content present. So instead of going into the print media, if we are going to enhance the e-content, and if we will give some kind of incentive to the teacher, those who are able to teach in different languages, then I think it will be better.
Thank you, Ms. Sinha. Thanks for bringing in the aspect of parents as well. That is going to be our next question to Ms. Kapoor, the parental perspective. Ms. Kapoor, research shows that learning in one's home language improves cognitive outcomes. But what we have observed is parents in tier 1 and tier 2 cities often demand early English exposure for competitive reasons. How can schools strike a balance between research backed pedagogy and the parental perception of English as essential for upward mobility?
So we have to understand our background and the legacy that we come from, our colonial mindset that we have. We are so fixated with English. So moving away from English, it's not going to be agreeable to our society at large. And other countries, have been able to easily follow this thing, because communication and learning in their mother tongue has always been, there. And and for two reasons it worked well with them. That's because there was no intrusion or invasion, from another, person or a country or a culture into their land. And also that they do not have this kind of language diversity like we do. You know, think about, if you take an example of Italy, for example, they only speak Italian. So it's so easy for them to, get that into their system. So parents are not wrong when they're expecting that English should be a primary mode of communication. And finally, it's the child has to write a competitive examination, face an interview in English and be at a global platform and, where English is widely spoken. So, are our parents wrong in expecting that? I don't think so. And I would also like to add that the same thing, if you compare our children with children from Europe or Asian countries, they do better and shine only because of the comfort our children have with the English language. So let's not negate that, and neither do we want to regress from what we are today, where we stand today. It's not that I'm against regional languages, to be taught in school, but the three language formula that we already have, that is center stage. I think children already are learning three languages, and I think we just continue with that. It's going to be a big dilemma, and as Ms. Sinha just pointed out also, it's going to be such a confusion. Just imagine, I mean, how are you going to have scientific, terms being taught in a mother tongue? Who's going to teach that? How is it going to come? So I feel right now in paper, it sounds really nice, but then to implement it is difficult. And what Ms. Kanchan has just pointed out also, that introduce different languages through maybe different mediums. There you're giving exposure to students. I think that should be it. Secondly, your question about how do we strike a balance between research-based pedagogy. I think the main thing to do is that we need to sit across with parents. Parents need to be well-versed, and they need to be sensitized with what the government is expecting and how is it that we're going to go about it also. So having the, parents, in the same league as us, as the school, students, all the stakeholders, be sitting together and coming up with some kind of a plan is what I think would work. Otherwise, it is definitely an uphill task right now.
Thanks a lot, Ms. Kapoor, for your inputs on this aspect of the language first approach. The parental aspect is very crucial. I mean, and also as I think Ms. Sinha also pointed out, and Ms. Chaitli also pointed out, that parents need to be involved in this whole process.
Yes.
Yeah. So this was very important. Yeah. Now, coming to Ms. Chaitli, we are talking about a lot of confusions in many aspects of this mandate by CBSE. One of it is, many CBSE schools are still unclear whether mother tongue first must be the medium for all pedagogy, or it should be used as the official language for assessments, or is it sufficient as a supporting communication? How are schools interpreting this mandate inside the classrooms? Because there is no clear guideline about this, right?
You're absolutely right. This is a very ambiguous position or question here, because the schools are still unclear whether they are going to use it as an official language or it is just going to be a supportive language. For example, most of the schools are already using Hindi or a mother tongue as a supportive language. For any content that you're delivering in English, you are supporting it by using the mother tongue in order to get everybody the clarification. And some of the teachers are even supporting the children replying in the mother tongue. That means they have understood. They might not be able to communicate in English, but they are already communicating in their mother tongue. Okay, which in Delhi NCR, yes, it is Hindi. In other places, it would be the regional language that is there. But the thing is that in order to develop that regional language to that level, where you can have formative exams in that level, right? You need to have the text, the literature, and is the CBSE allowing any children to write the exams in Bhojpuri or Mithili or Bengali or whichever, in the junior classes, because the school is making the paper. So somewhere maybe 10 children are writing Hindi or 10 children are writing Bengali. That can be designed. But according to CBSE, all these languages are taken as third language once the child reaches Sixth standard, these are taken as third language in Delhi NCR. Though I know in Punjab region, Punjabi is right from standard 1. In Bengal region, Bengali would be right from standard 1. So here, the only thing that we need to check is the school having that structure? Is the CBSE going to help us to get that structure where the child is allowed to communicate or write the exam in that medium? Mother tongue already we are using informally. Sometimes, when we are giving the child an emotional support, sometimes when we are giving the child an encouragement and the child is not understanding in English or the child is feeling let down, then there are some words in the mother tongue that the child will be understanding more. So already informally we are using the mother tongue, but the medium of instruction still remains English and Hindi. In private schools, mostly English, and in the government schools, Hindi and English are both there. There is a blended kind of a thing where a few sections are English, a few sections are Hindi. Now, how to convert all that? We first need, if I'm teaching science, then I need a science textbook in that language where the child can actually understand the concept that I'm teaching. So, are we ready for that curricular content in all those languages? Is it developed? So, first, the has to give us a clarification if they have the textbooks and the materials already in their regional languages. Only then only we can have the test in those regional languages. So there is actually no systematic integration of the mother tongue in the assessments up till now. Up till now, we are using the mother tongue only as a supportive language. And that too in the most of the regions, which is in the North India, Hindi, though the children might be having a different mother tongue at home, but Hindi becomes a more supportive language there. So this will all depend on how the CBSE gives us the way forward. They have to maybe show us the way forward. They have to develop that text. And then, of course, we need the teacher's background to be strong enough. If I have studied as a teacher throughout in English or Hindi medium, suddenly just getting one training in Bengali or another language, whichever language, is not going to transform my medium of instruction. So I have to be thorough before I go to the child. So first we need to see what is the interpretation by the school management, because it's not the teachers who's going to decide, it's actually the interpretation of this NEP by the school management. Secondly, how the parents react to the interpretation that the school takes, and what is the teacher's background, how much can the teacher contribute to it, and then creating a language friendly atmosphere. So for that we have to actually look into the diverse backgrounds, and like we have always been using English and Hindi, that is a common language, it's kind of a common platform that everybody understands. So maybe using the mother tongue, we could just bridge the gap wherever we feel the medium of instruction has a gap because the child is not able to understand the concept. So for bridging the gap, we can use mother tongue. But then the official language, till we don't develop the content, till we don't have the text in that language, I don't think the schools are just going to take that. It's kind of a patchy and inconsistent thing, which is not a constant thing. So I don't think the school is going to take it that easily.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you, Ms. Chaitali, over here. And now let me move on to the last segment of this very, very insightful discussion. Coming back to you, Ms. Sinha. Given that the circular was issued with a 2025-2026 implementation target, do you think this timeline is realistic for CBSE schools to procure multilingual materials, train teachers, and restructure pedagogy? What kind of phased or differentiated support would actually make this policy work on ground?
As both the panelists are saying, it is not possible overnight. It requires long-term preparation, long-term planning. And in this, of course, teacher training is very, very important. And without the training of the teacher, nothing is possible, because they are the heart of any organization or any schools. So first of all, we have to train the teacher. As Kanchana ma'am said, we have to check the background of the teachers, whether teacher is able to teach in different languages or not. So actually the planning is is going to start from the appointment of a teacher. Then only it is possible. And second is what? The resource material. In the beginning only I said, if we are going to approach any mother tongue, then all the content should be available in that particular language. So development of the textbook, development of all the material, study material which require for that particular group of the student. And second important thing is what? Mental preparation of the parent. As everybody is aware, English is what, whether we are saying or not, but it is a national language, because wherever you are going, it is very easy to communicate in English language. And it is not possible that in one day we have to decide that, okay, we will throw the English from our education and we will start the mother tongue. So for this, it is important that we have to give actually the respect of all the languages, whether it is mother tongue or not, or regional language, local language, whatever the language. And according to me, we have to give freedom to a child. The child want to study in which particular language. Suppose that I am in Maharashtra, Marathi is my mother tongue, but whether I am ready to study in Marathi, higher education, yes or no? If ready, then okay, you have to. If not, then child is free to opt for English, Hindi, whatever the child wants. So according to me, the school has to offer all the languages, and it is possible when we are going to mapping the language of the student. On the basis of that, the school can make their policy. Okay, I am ready to teach mother language or mother tongue for Marathi, Gujarati, Hindi. If you are ready, then most welcome, take admission in my school. If the school is well equipped with their teacher, resources, classroom, everything. Otherwise, we are going to play with the future of a child. Thank you.
Right. Absolutely.
And just to add to that, Shashwati, I feel, why is it that the schools have to bear a brunt of everything? Each and everything comes down to the school to implement. Why is it not at home? So when parents come to me, I would tell them that leave the English to us. We will ensure that your child learns that language. You stick to your mother tongue. You see that the child learns the mother tongue at home, because that's the only place the child is going to learn. And, you leave English to us. We do that. So why is it that schools have to bear the brunt of everything?
All right. Very, very valid question to ask from the perspective of a school administrator. Yeah, I agree with you on this. Ms. Kapoor, so now I'm coming to you with your for your wish list or your recommendation. If you had to design a phased roadmap for multilingual implementation in CBSE schools across states, what would be your top 2 recommendations?
Yeah, so the first thing that I would do, Saraswati, is that let's do it in a phased manner. Let's not have you just say that grade 1 to 10, everybody does the same. Introduce it in first, maybe grade 1, grade 2. First, introduce it in 1 or 2. Do it as a pilot project. Have the teachers trained for those classes. You have the material ready. And year on year, then you can go up the ladder. That is my first recommendation. Don't, unnecessary, I would say, move the honestness. Do it in a phased manner, bit by bit. And you will also know what are the pitfalls and what is it that we need to improve upon. And then, we can work on it. So that is one recommendation. And second is, of course, it has to be scalability of teacher trainings. And how much can we do is also the question. How many languages do you expect a teacher to learn? So teachers being at the front line, definitely that when you're talking about multilingual classrooms, then it has to be that the educator has to be confident in what the language that the teacher would be teaching upon. So it has to be phrased-wise, a teacher training program has to be there. Digital modules will have to be prepared. Language-specific toolkits will have to be prepared. Especially, it has to be for rural as well as for urban, schools. And our existing Disha platform, what Ms. Anuradha also mentioned, for training content delivery, have content over there so that it is easily accessible to all CBSE schools. And that is my second point, that it has to be teacher trainings. And a third point would also be, once again, curriculum material and local language integration that you would have to do. And let's do it in a phased manner. Nothing is possible. Take a year, plan of maybe 3 years. Say in 3 years' time, this is what you want to do. So, as I said, start from the foundational stage, up to grade 2 first, and then, take it up. Another interesting thing, which just very recently I was watching of Cambridge trainings. They were talking about how do you teach English as a second language. And once again, it was about, storytelling, introducing small words, role plays, doing small activities in, the regional languages first. So let's introduce it bit by bit and not jump into it totally together, is what is my suggestion.
Thank you, Ms. Kapoor. Now I'll move on to the last question of this discussion. It's for Ms. Chetli. Ms. Chetli, in your view, 5 years from now, will the mother tongue first model strengthen India's learning outcomes, or will it deepen the rural-urban English, non-English divide?
If implemented well, this mother tongue first model will have enormous potential and it will strengthen the learning outcomes of our children. But then if exist there, that if implemented well, because we know that the children will understand best when they are their foundational years, when they are using their mother tongue and the instructions are given in the mother tongue. The early literacy will become better if you're using the mother tongue. Then like I told you, it will bridge the gaps whenever there is a shortage of skill set, or there is a shortage of understanding, or that gap will be bridged when we are using the mother tongue. Then the first generation learners, because we know India is still growing and developing, so that everywhere there are first generation learners. So for those first generation learners, it becomes easy because there is no guidance at the background. So for them to understand and study, it is a better thing for them if the mother tongue first comes. Plus, we have always been talking about inclusivity, cultural promotion. So all that will come in if we are able to implement it well. But then again, the urban and the rural English Hindi divide that has been happening, if not implemented well, then the rural area will go more and deeper into their mother tongue thing, and the urban area still remains English, so that divide or the gap increases instead of decreasing. Then the children will struggle to compete, especially when they come at that level where everybody is considered same, or when they move from the urban areas from the rural areas, to the urban areas to compete for the jobs, for the various competitions, then it is going to be very, very difficult for the children. Then, and it is going to take some time to have those high quality textbooks, all the materials, clear guidelines. So there will be learning loss also if the implementation is patchy, right? And then of course the assessment mismatch. So 5 years onwards, we say if backed with a real mindset and real investment from the schools, a good political will, pedagogical clarity, then mother tongue first can become a powerful tool. At the same time, if not implemented well, then it will be just vague and again increase the rural-urban divide, right? And actually, it will then result in more confusion of the students not understanding whether to go for the regional in the formative years or start right from the English. I think from there only we started. I don't know, maybe, 100 years back when we were under the British rule, we would have decided like this only or started like this only, where we had small regions, each one teaching in their own language. But then we came to a common platform, started with English so that everybody can speak the same language, compete together. Now, 5 year onwards, if we are able to implement it well, then it is going to be very powerful. But if we fail to implement it well, we go back to where we started. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ms. Chaitli. And thanks to all of you, all our panelists, Ms. Kapoor, Ms. Sinha, and to you again, Ms. Chaitli, for your time and valuable inputs. So, one thing is clear, while the educationists and the stakeholders are on the same page about the benefit of mother tongue first approach, the concern lies in implementation and the time allowed to implement the change. And while teacher training is one of the core areas of concern, parental involvement is equally important in this whole exercise.